I'm Ashley. For 27 years, my husband and I explored 68 countries together before he passed away. Now I'm on a mission to complete this travel bucket list we created together and see the countries that he will never get to see. Our first stop of the day is actually down at the Puma Market, and this is the main square with as a normal squares in Latin America, with the church at one end and the government building the other. And this would have been a place where they actually had, trading of food and things. Well, now it's a trading for tourists, and so down here you're going to find all of your textiles and your sweaters and your candies with cocoa in them and all those things. One thing to know is everything down here is going to have really, really good prices, but it's not handmade anymore. What we're getting down here is actually made in factories in Bolivia, so it's still a great souvenir. Just realize it's not handmade anymore. So buy from the locals, just know what you're getting, and I will definitely be picking up a couple sweaters, a llama, and a hat. I'm standing at the most important building down here in Pumamarca, and this is the church. It is always in the center of any town in Argentina, and this one's actually from 1648. The reason Pumamarca in this area is actually a UNESCO site is not the gorgeous mountain like you'd think. It's because of these buildings, because they're this old and they've been this well maintained, and that's why this is a heritage place, is because of this culture that has not been lost. Isn't this cool to see a pretty and simple structure that's been around for hundreds of years? Okay. So these are tortillas. They're like an empanada, but they're actually done on a grill, and they put more things inside of them. And so they have all different fancy things.
Variety of these,
Here down at Pumamarca, the first try. We're down here in the Pumamarca market, and instead of having empanadas like we're looking at, they have down here what's called tortas, and you see they're bigger. They were designed here in the gorge, and they've now continued on to other places. But mine is tomato, cheese, and onion, and Krista's is ham and cheese. So let's open it up and look on the inside. Ooh, look at those pretty colors.
Like a calzone, good for breakfast.
So it's a good little food for us to try.
Ham and cheese. There you go.
Mmm. Good. Good. You can taste that they're made on a grill, and they're definitely enjoyable. Okay. I like these. Great place for breakfast. Hi, dude. Isn't this cute? This is Argentina's kind of claim to fame, is that it's the land of street dogs, and people actually take care of all the street dogs. And what's fun is they actually look adorable like this, or fluffy labs or whatever, and they're just kind of round and they're nice and they're fun to check out. Okay, so you see we're now here in 2,300 meters, and I'm dressed like this because it's actually warm. So watch what happens as we go up to the salt flats and actually get more up in the mountains. This is going to be our adventure for the day. Have you ever seen this before? This is a screensaver on my computer. This is the painted mountains of Argentina, and the reason they're like that is because of erosion. The colors are the different parts of iron, and the green that's over there is because of patina that comes off of the iron. This is one of those things that you just gotta see it actually be here. It's so much more impressive in person than the screensaver on my computer.
What people basically do here in Argentina is chewing. Take a small amount, do it like this, and put it like that. This is the best for digestion. That's the main characteristic. The leaves of the 21st century. Now it's not a leaf anymore, it's a candy. Honey with some flower of coca. Perhaps this will be good for the throat, not for digestion. Finding in every single market around this spot.
Now it's my turn. Lau says they use this for digestion, but it's also what they say will help us with elevation. So, oops, I'm spilling leaves. So we shall see how bad this tastes. So far, just kind of brittly, not real bad. It feels like I'm sucking on a piece of grass from the backyard. It's not near as bad as some things I've had to put in my mouth. This probably is going to be a better way to get the coca down. Even though it's not as good, I think having the candy might be more enjoyable. I mean, that was not bad, don't get me wrong. That's good. I mean, it's just a little sweet. Not a big deal. It's a great marketing tool to sell something, to make people think that they're getting actually the cacao and actually going to get the elevation sickness not happening. So, good way to start the day. We're leaving Pumamarca and we're going to go about an hour and a half up, and we're going up to Pristina. And this is where we're going to see the highest altitudes. So along the way, we're going to be drinking some water and eating some of those great honey candies to kind of just make sure we don't have any elevation issues. I don't think so, but you know, it never hurts to be safe. But next part of our adventure is coming up now. Okay, we've now climbed to 2,900 meters. So we're up 600 from where we were in Pumamarca, and look how it's changed. The rock is now young rock. The colors aren't as much, and look how they've got all the texture. That's because it's young and the rain erodes it better. And then look at all these cardones. I have fallen in love with these cute cactuses. They're down here where we are. We get a few hundred meters more, and we won't have those anymore because they can't live here. And oh yeah, remember, they're not part of cactuses. Don't you love how this topography is changing as we go up? We're now at 3,200 meters, so we've gone up 3/4. The wind is picking up. The temperature's dropped about 5 to 10 degrees. It's definitely got a bite to it now, but we're still in our short sleeves. Look how the topography's changed, that it's less erosion, and then we've now got the lichen-looking green grasses all over things. But we're not done because we've got to go up that way. Oh, and a neat anomaly that is behind us, back over here. We've gotten high enough up here now with the level of the clouds of the Pumamarca. So the city is below those clouds, and we are now level or above them. And those are the clouds that the mountains stop and keep the other side from getting rain and makes it a desert. We're now 3,910 meters above sea level. So we're now up 1,600 meters from where we were before. That's the switchback road that we came up. That's all the way down there. And we're still gonna go farther up to about 4,300 square meters. The wind has definitely changed, and we've added a bite to the wind. So it's kind of neat to see through there how far we still have to go and how much this has changed every time we stop. I'm enjoying, this is cool. I can't wait to see what's at the top. Well, we did it. This is the highest place in the Poma on the way to the salt flats, 4170, which up here I can tell you that I can tell in my breathing that there's a lot less oxygen, but the fact of the matter is that you really got to do this so that you can see all these great colors and see the clouds rising behind you, just like this. So we've reached the top of the Puma. This is the plateau. We're up about 4,100 meters, and I can tell it in my breathing that there's not as much oxygen for me up here. The wind is definitely cooler. It's about 15 degrees cooler than it was before. But the big thing to notice, that right there, that's the salt flats we're headed to. So that's the Salinas Grande. We've made it to the top. We're at the top of the mountains, and now we have to go down so we can go play on the salt flats. This is going to be very exciting. Made it down to Salinas Grande. So this is the salt flats, and look, they're covered with water, and so it's all this reflection. It's really cool. I'm kid-like. This ground is crunchy like ice if you've ever been out on icy roads. But look at the view of this, and everything underneath it is actually salt coming up from volcanoes to make this beautiful look. I'm excited to actually go play in the area where we're going to have some great experiences and food and photography. I am completely intrigued. See all this cracky stuff? This is actually from two things. It's from the hot days and the cold nights, and it's also the thermal cracks, because this is all volcanic, of where the fumes and the air and the gases are coming up through the ground to make these cracks. Isn't that neat? I am a curious kid at heart, and the minute I stepped out here, it reminded me most of like frozen ice. And this stuff actually crunches like snow, but it's hard and prickly, so it doesn't give away like snow. And then I had to know about these cuttings, and this is where they're actually mining out the salt. What's cool is this pool was actually 10 meters by a meter down, and it will fill itself back up in about a year. And the color of the water is not the color of the water. The color of the water is actually reflection off the sky. Now, being a curious kid, we have to touch and taste everything. So I asked if I could touch and taste, and sure enough, when it comes up, it's salt crystals. These cool, hard salt crystals like rock. And the water's warm, and this is a big thing a kid always wants to do. It just tastes like pure salt. This is a cool place to visit. I am so glad I've gotten down here. This is truly neat. So what we're doing is we're down here at Pristine, which is actually a glamping place which is set up in the middle of Salinas Grande. So there's 6 domes down here. It's 5-star food in the middle of this just environment. This looks like it's a lake that you can't decide if it's frozen, if it's wet. I just am dying to step on it. So we're gonna spend the day just sitting out here on the deck, enjoying the experience. We're gonna tour around and actually get out on the salt. This is just neat. I would bet when you stay out here overnight, because we're literally in the middle of nowhere, it's gonna be dark sky, and they even have hot tubs on the domes. This is a place that I find completely intriguing and could definitely come hang out for a while. So we've now left the private area the salt flats were at. They were owned by the indigenous groups and families, and this is the public area. If you take the bus from Pumacara, this is where they bring you. So there's little huts out here. There's a little bathroom you pay 200 pesos for, which is actually an outhouse. There's a little bit of food, the llamas, and as you'll see behind me, the salt flats are more muddy and a lot more used than if you had actually been at the private place. One thing they do here is you can catch another bus and pay more money and go farther in, but you're still in an area that's not as clean and pretty as the private area we went to with our private guide and driver. I think it's so cool to notice that all of these buildings are made of bricks of salt. They literally just went and cut hunks out, and now you have a building. Very cool. Well, the truck's all loaded and we are leaving Pumacara, but this is not the end of our trip in Argentina. In the next few days, we're actually going to Cafachada and we're going to 14 Color Mountains, and we're going to actually get to do some indigenous village type of situations where we're cooking and hanging out. So make sure you check out one of these next videos, because we've got a lot more fun and excitement happening down here in Argentina.